Welcome to 5 at 5 with Stone Law Offices. I'm attorney Brendan Bybee with 5 minutes on avoiding ancillary probate through revocable living trusts. Now, when you pass away, the property that you own in your own name is subject to probate. Generally, most of the property that you own is going to be subject to probate in the state that you lived in that was your residence or domicile at the time of your death. Most of your property is going to fall under this category. However, if you own certain property, particularly real estate, but it could be other property as well. But if you say own a vacation home in the mountains in Utah or some other state, beach home in California, you're going to, that property, if you own it in your own name, is going to be subject to probate in that state. And therefore, if you end up having to go to probate, if your estate has to go through probate in Nevada, in your home state, now it's going to have to do probate there, but you're also going to have a probate occur in the state where that property is. So what you're left with is having two different probate proceedings going on in two different states in order to administer your entire estate. Now, obviously, when we set up a trust, the idea is let's make this convenient and have all of your property go through the trust and not have to go through probate. Here comes one of the reasons why trusts are so handy. Now, probate isn't always the worst thing in the world, and some people don't necessarily want to avoid it in all cases. It may not be as important to them, passing things in the smoothest way possible. But most people are pretty put off by the idea that probate's going to have to happen in two different places, going to have attorneys in two different states running these probates, and the costs are obviously going to go up a great deal because we're running multiple probates. What's nice about a trust is that instead of having to go through that court process to transfer that property and to move that property to who's entitled to it, or go through any of the processes of sale that can be more cumbersome by going through a probate, we put that property into a trust. Now, if you own property in multiple states, like I said, it's subject to probate in those states, but if it's owned by a trust avoids probate. It avoids probate not just in your home state, it avoids probate in every other state. So instead of having to do multiple probates, multiple attorneys being involved in these different states to deal with that property, or having to go through a cumbersome sale process like we often do here, where if you don't know, in Nevada, when you go through probate and you're selling real estate through that probate, it has to go through a notice period. It has to be brought a petition to a court to approve that sale, and that sale is opened up to bidding in open court on that property. And so it makes it a very cumbersome process. That process can be compounded if you have to do a process like that in other states. Whereas if the property is owned by a trust, the trustee is able to take that and sell that just as though they were you, standing in your own shoes, selling that property yourself. So again, if you have property in more than one state and you own it yourself, you need to know that probate's going to have to occur in every state that you own real property. If you have a trust, that's wonderful because that trust can sell that property more conveniently, more easily, and more quickly after your death. But if you have a trust and you haven't transferred all your property, you haven't aligned your assets and made sure that the trust holds title in that property, you're still going to have that probate issue. So again, look at your assets, look at your property. Do you own property in more than one state? Do you have a trust? A trust can solve that problem of multiple probates. Do you have a trust? Having a trust, have you made sure that title to that property is owned by the trust and not you? Because again, anything that's owned by you is subject to probate. Anything that's owned by the trust will avoid probate and be administered much more easily, much more simply, and much more quickly for your beneficiaries. If you need help analyzing this, looking at your assets and making sure that they're in your trust, or if you need a trust created to make sure that property passes in the easiest and most cost-effective way to the next generation, please give us a call and let us know how we can help you.